Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about The Time Is Always Now. This is an exhibition curated by Ekow Eshun and it's showing at the National Portrait Gallery in London. The whole focus of this exhibition is about reframing the Black figure. With strong themes like double consciousness, Black aliveness, and the past and the present, Ekow has curated artworks that show the grace, the power, the complexity, the beauty, and just the fraughtness of the Black experience. If you're new to the term double consciousness, it's basically this idea of living as a Black person within, but then existing psychologically outside of white society. At Janet's List, we feature incredible brands and art by Black women and women of color, mainly from the UK, but also from the US. So it's going to come as no surprise that in this video, I'm going to focus on 6 incredible Black women artists whose work is on view at the exhibition. If you're interested in my thoughts about the exhibition more generally, I'm going to cover that right at the end of this video, so stick around for that. But in the meantime, let's get straight into it. Barbara Walker is a British figurative artist whose work touches on the themes of race and gender. Her pieces, which are on display at the exhibition, really focus on the absence of Black figures in Western art history. And so those themes of double consciousness and Black aliveness really come through with her work. Barbara meticulously hand drew these Black figures in the work. And so what she's doing is that she's bringing them back to life. She's bringing them to the forefront. And these are figures in the Western art historical sense that would have been hidden away and tucked away. And that's what makes her work so brilliant. And that's what makes her strategy around this really clever and smart. Barbara's work makes you stop in your tracks. You have to sit with it for a minute. And what you realize here is that she shifted the gaze from that being of a Black object as seen through a white person's eyes to an object that we are seeing through the eyes of a Black woman artist. And that's what makes her work incredible. Barbara has shown work at the Venice Biennale. In 2017, she hand drew on the walls of the Palazzo Pisani, and I believe she used charcoal to do this. In the UK as well, she's done pieces where she's hand drawn the work, and after the work has been there for a while on view, she washes it away and really highlights this idea of the erasure of Black people in public spaces, but also the stories that remain untold. Barbara was awarded an MBE for services to art, and in 2023, she was nominated for the Turner Prize. Njideka Akunyili Crosby is a Nigerian-born artist who lives in Los Angeles. She is the recipient of the MacArthur Fellowship, which, by the way, has been nicknamed the Genius Grant, and it's got that nickname for good reasons. I would suggest, in your own time, just check out the people who have received this grant in the past. It is incredible. Anyway, back to her work. I first came across Njideka's work in London at the Victoria Miro Gallery, and this was almost 8 years ago. I believe this was her first solo exhibition in Europe. I was struck then, as I am now, by her ability to show these really dense and luminous snapshots of domestic life. And usually they straddle more than one culture. I hadn't come across work like that before. As a Black African woman, here was work that just demonstrated the code switching that we have to do and how we have to shift ourselves depending on the different contexts we are in. Her work is intimate and nuanced, and this piece that was on view really shows how she uses references from art history, from politics, but also personal references as well to tell her story. The name of this piece is Still You Bloom in This Land of No Gardens, and this image has actually been used for the book that Ekow, who's the curator, presented for the exhibition, and a lot of the exhibition materials. And you see Njideka seated there looking firmly at the viewer, cradling her son in her hand, and you have this dense vegetation all around this image. I understand that she does quite a lot of research for her paintings, and so like the plants that she uses in her paintings, for example, are plants that are unique both to Nigeria, where she's from, and California, where she lives. The other element as well is there's always a feeling of arrival and departure in her work, and you can see from this image that there's an open door behind her, which sort of invites the viewer to think, where does that door lead to? Why is that door open? Where are people going to? Her work just has this way of really leaving you with more questions than answers. Talking about her artistic journey, she did do an artist residency at the Studio Museum in Harlem. Some of the best artists have come out of this institution. And while she was there, she met the Kenyan-born, New York-based artist Wangeci Mutu, who is going to be the next artist in this series. So a nice little segue into the third artist I'll be speaking about. However, before I do that, remember, if you're enjoying this and you're finding this useful, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. It makes such a difference to a small channel like ours. Wangeci Mutu is a Kenyan-born artist who is based in New York. I'm obviously biased. I am Kenyan and I have loved Wangeci's work for the longest time. Wangeci was initially known for her collage-based practice, which explores camouflage, transformation, and mutation. Wangeci extends these strategies across various forms of media, and she develops these hybrid, fantastical forms that draw in myth, that draw in folk stories, and also have socio-historical references. The Second Dreamer, which is the name of the piece on display, was created by Wangeci in 2017, and it is a riff on another piece created in 1910 by Constantine Brancusi called The Sleeping Muse. And so you have this image of a bronze lying on the side, the braided hair, the high gloss finish, and it's basically an Afro-futuristic recuperation of this historical image. At the moment, there's an exhibition showing Wangeci Mutu's work in New Orleans at the NOMA, which is the New Orleans Museum of Art. The name of this exhibition is Intertwined, and I believe that was the same name of the exhibition that she had at the new museum in 2023. There's some incredible videos that was created by the new museum. I'm going to try and drop them in the description box below because it's so hard to summarize this incredible, iconic artist's work in 3 minutes. If you're in New Orleans at that time of the year and you want to catch this exhibition, if you're going to New Orleans for Essence, it's on until the 14th of July, so make sure you add that date to your diary. Born in Philadelphia and based in New York, Jennifer Parker is a painter who uses imagination and memory to create these intimate portraits. Her work has been shown at the Serpentine Gallery in London, and she's also the Associate Professor of Painting at the RISD, which is the Rhode Island School of Design. She's also known for her floral still lifes, and these paintings really highlight the fragility of life. So one of these paintings, called Say Her Name, was created in response to the death of Sandra Bland. Her largest piece to date, which is called Blessed Are Those Who Mourn, is based on the unlawful killing of Breonna Taylor. And when you look at this image, yes, it might be a man who's the subject of this image, but some of the items in the background were actually taken from the pictures that were published of Breonna's apartment. Coming back to this exhibition, my favorite piece of hers in The Time Is Always Now was the centerpiece. There were 3 pieces that were hung together. It's an untitled piece. What drew me in is this quality that her work has. When you look at her work, you get this feeling like the work is dissolving before your eyes. So it's like you have to capture it before it starts to disappear. And I think what she does here really effectively is that she communicates the intangibility of challenging human emotions. There's a real intimacy to her work, which comes through her painterly style, but also her restrained use of color. I love this quote from her: "My inclination to paint, especially from life, is a completely political one. We belong here. We deserve to be seen and acknowledged in real time. We deserve to be heard and to be imaged with shameless generosity and accuracy." Claudette is a founding member of the Black British Arts Movement. Her story was really wonderfully captured in The Guardian. I'm going to drop a link below. If you have time to take a look at that, please do. Her approach is immediately evident when you look at the first piece on display in this exhibition. It's called Standing Figure with African Masks. Now, you may think that this is a self-portrait of Claudette. Actually, what's happening here is that she is challenging a Picasso painting, which is quite similar. And what she's doing is really examining his appropriation of African culture and his use of West African masks in his work. Although I liked that piece a lot, the piece that really captured my attention is this one called This Kind of Blue. Here you have a portrait of a young black man lying on his side. And when I looked into this, I saw somewhere that she was inspired by the work of a South African photographer called Peter Magubane, who took pictures during the apartheid regime. And when you look at this image more closely, you see that contrast. You know, you have these parts of the image where there is no paint at all, like his vest. And then you have the background, which has this deep, rich blue color. And then you have his skin, where she's used this pastel technique to really portray his blackness. It's such an incredible piece and it really captured my attention. The last artist I'm going to talk about, and certainly not the least, is Toyin Odutola. She is a Nigerian artist who is based in New York. Her family moved to America when she was aged 5. I think her dad went to work in the University of Berkeley in California. And because she was so different and she was othered, she started drawing as a way to cope with this big change in her life. She subsequently pursued a career in art. I thought that I had first seen her work at the Giants exhibition at the Brooklyn Museum in New York. But when I looked into it, I realized that I had seen her work before in the UK at the Barbican. This was at the Curve. And she'd had an exhibition, it was a solo one, and it was called The Countervailing Theory. And in that exhibition at the Barbican, she had depicted this prehistoric fictional civilization that is dominated by female rulers. There was also a sound element to the exhibition by Peter Ojih, and it was just really beautifully presented. What I loved about her work in this exhibition is that it just epitomizes Black soft life. That is the first thing you see when you look at these pieces. And really her work explores themes like race, gender, wealth, colonization, just all of these really heavy, challenging themes. But you look at the work and you think money. Toyin has this really distinctive way of making marks in her work. And what she said about this is that her mark making forces and requires people not just to think about what our skin looks like, but also what it feels like to be in this skin. And so for me, it's really interesting contrasting the mark making and the heavy connotations of that with the imagery of these people who just seem to have the softest lives ever. As part of her artistic journey, Toyin created this fictional, very wealthy Nigerian family. Think almost like a Black dynasty. And you see some of that in the pieces that are on view in this exhibition. All of the excesses, you have the lady with her furs, the art in the background, the gentleman in the slippers, the lovely clothing, the beautiful furniture. This also comes through the naming of the work. So you have the Grand Marchioness, you have the Adventures Club, you have a Grand Inheritance. Given that Black aliveness is one of the themes of this exhibition, you'd be hard-pressed to find work that better captures this than diving into the world of these fictional characters who do not seem to have a care in the world. I'm going to end this video with a couple of things, some quick thoughts on the exhibition. I think Ekow Eshun and the team did a fantastic job. I understand that it took Ekow 5 years to bring this exhibition to life, which could not have been an easy thing. But honestly, all of that hard work has been worth it. Because when you walk through this exhibition, it is so perfectly formed. You see all of these pieces in conversation with each other. And it really captures this idea of Black aliveness. What feels really real to me in terms of the artwork, in terms of the curation, is just this idea of really shifting the gaze and us seeing ourselves represented by artists who look like us. It's so exciting that in 2024 we've had 2 great exhibitions already that capture work by Black living artists. This exhibition, The Time Is Always Now, and Giants, which is the exhibition in Brooklyn Museum showing the private collection of Swiss Beats and Alicia Keys, also known as the Dean Collection. And that brings me to the elephant in this room. When you walk into The Time Is Now, the first artists you see are Lorna Simpson and Amy Sherald. I absolutely love their work. I have talked about their work in another full long video that I did about the Giants exhibition. And so if you're interested in finding more about them, I'm going to pop the link to that below or in one of the boxes above. That said, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for spending time with me, and I will see you in the next video.